Hi, this is Disquiet. Today we're going to be going over a thread on r/AskReddit. I'm here with my friend. Say hello.
Hi, I'm Emma.
We're going to be discussing the thread. So let's get into it. Escorts of Reddit. Who is your nicest customer?
It's a good one.
Serious. The first one, here we go, by Dyke X Daddy. I had a couple of them in my pro-dom days who were just great, and occasionally I still talk to them, even though I'm retired. My actual nicest client was a super sweet blue-collar dude. I know the stereotype about powerful businessman and all that. But honestly, as someone who was more of a mid-range provider, like 90% of my clients were working and middle-class guys who did manual labor for a living, who basically used spending time with me as his treat-yourself moment. Like, he was a single dad of several kids who had to work way too much and just had no time or energy to date, let alone find someone who was into his particular fetishes. And that's a role I fulfilled for a lot of people. If he finished a big project or nailed a job interview or got promoted or whatever, I was one of the first people he'd contact. Instead of taking himself out to a nice dinner or something like that, he'd book a few hours with me. So basically, if he texted me, it immediately made my day because it meant something good had happened to him. And nearly every time I saw him, he was in a great mood. One time, he tried to book me before a big life event that he was super anxious about. And I ended up straight up not letting him pay me that time because it just felt like he really needed to be with somebody to hang out with and talk. We spent most of the session just getting stoned and watching baseball. He still tipped me anyway.
I love that.
He was always a really polite and kind person, never pushy, never made me feel unsafe, really great and straightforward communicator. Wasn't afraid to ask questions if he didn't know what to do. And I know this is silly, but the kicker was he'd often come see me directly from his construction job. And he would always, I never once asked him to do this, shower, brush his teeth, etc., and change into a button-down shirt and dress pants, ironed and sharp AF before or right when he arrived. Even though he knew he was probably going to be naked in 10 minutes, he still wanted to look nice when he actually came into my space as a show of respect. And I don't know, I just thought that was really sweet. She's hitting her knee.
Sign of approval.
I know I was lucky and privileged in many respects, but I really did like my clients a lot. I feel like that story had no climax.
I liked it.
I like the fact that he showered for her.
Me too.
I feel like that would make being an escort a lot better.
Yeah.
Because can you imagine if he didn't?
Yeah, I know.
It would just be your job to do it anyway.
Anyway, yeah.
Wow.
After construction work. Ugh.
Okay. Next story. This reminds me of one story that I saw in another subreddit. Oh, I hate that. It was written by the escort went something like this. She was ordered by a middle-aged man, and the only request he made was that she would come hungry. She thought that guy would be into feeding or something along those lines. When she arrived, he just let her sit at a table and started to cook. They ate their meal and chatted, nothing else. He later told her that he loved to cook and always did cook for his wife. The thing was that his wife had passed, and he didn't want to cook just for himself.
That was a pretty good story.
That's kind of sad.
Yeah. I feel like in reality it may have been more sinister than it sounds right here.
Really?
I don't know.
Wow.
I feel like this is the start of something like really
Terrifying?
terrible.
Like You on Netflix.
Yeah,
Where
like
he
he
starts to
seems
replace.
really nice, but he's about to like stalk this woman.
Well,
Let's see what the next person says.
okay. Quite honestly, this is by Oshibu. Quite honestly, I never saw anyone who wasn't super sweet. However, one does stand out in my mind. I know, right? He was a middle-aged STEM guy who had the cutest little house, which was absolutely overflowing with rare books. Oh my god, that's our dream.
Yeah, dude, I'm already like in love.
Literally, his whole house was a library.
Oh my god.
He was my favorite for so many reasons. We never had dull conversations, and I really looked forward to time spent with him. Must be hard not to fall in love with your clients.
I was actually thinking that.
He would never settle for anything less than the best food, cocktails when we went out. And he was an excellent chef himself, so that was pretty great.
Wow.
The gifts he gave me were super personalized. I don't think anyone in my life ever gave me such intimate, thoughtful gifts. I had a lot of guys give me the typical clothes, shoes, makeup that were lovely gifts nonetheless. But this guy once gave me a Bosco Olympic tracksuit because I mentioned I liked Adidas once. It's my favorite material possession. LOL.
I like this one. This makes me really want to be an escort. How about you? I'm sure that I know it's scary and horrible, but damn.
It seems like such a nice profession.
She said she never met anybody that wasn't sweet.
I know. But I feel like maybe she's lucky. And I hope that as she grows older, the men keep being nice to her.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because, like, I'm surprised how many of them keep talking about dinner and conversation, but I forgot that's really what escorts do.
This next one is from High Lord 24.
Hi, Lord.
Obligatory, not me, but met an escort in the ladies' room of a fancy event. I was having a serious wardrobe malfunction. I was nervous as hell to be there, and I was 17 anyway, so felt very out of place. I was crying and freaking out because my dress was broken and me crying was ruining my makeup, which I did not know how to fix. And I was going to have to go up on stage in like 15 minutes. Everyone was ignoring me, but a lovely escort came over, helped me fix my dress and makeup, and taught me a couple of tricks, and really calmed me down. She took me back to my table and snuck me a flute of champagne. One of the nicest and most charming women I've ever met, and was definitely my savior that day. And then someone asks, how do you know she was an escort?
That's what I was wondering.
And there was a response. She told me when I was freaking out about feeling out of place. Met her client too later. Nice guy. Kinda quiet. But must have been minted to afford her. I feel like there's nothing better than a woman in a bathroom.
Yeah.
Like when you meet a strange woman in the bathroom, 10 times out of 10, she's going to give you a compliment.
Yep.
That statistic is even increased if they're drunk.
Yeah.
So we only have one story left. Okay,
Right,
here we
let's
go. Lick the Truff. Many years ago, I decided, as a single British-Irish male, that I could find a niche doing home visits to ladies.
Okay, I'm already so interested in this guy.
I know. This is like Midnight Cowboy, but English. At that time, we had an advert for chocolates, where a gent, dressed in black, would do some 007 type thing, just to leave a box of these chocolates on her bed. He would leave his card, then abseil away. Anyway, I don't abseil, but I did start home visits. I put out an advert and went from there. I would arrive with the groceries to make the lady a meal of her choice, with the wine of her choice, then do my utmost to please her.
Whoa.
Then I would, after getting paid, do the dishes and leave, without much of a trace I'd ever been there. I saw one lady more than any of the others. She told me one evening that she loved me.
Wow.
The sad bit is that I didn't feel the same. But that was the greatest compliment I have ever had. I stopped doing this on that very evening. Doing what I did, one of my clients falling in love with me, had never been a factor when I first thought of the general idea. The lady is fine and happy. She later married a lovely chap. I even got an invite to the wedding. So I guess she told him. I wouldn't go. It was not right. Regards, S. Well, lick the truff. That sounds like a romantic.
Okay, that
Sorry.
was my favorite story of all of them.
I know.
That man is so just morally upright. He understood that it wasn't right.
I feel like I should have done a Northern Irish accent for this.
I really wish you would have.
I didn't, but
What would it be, though?
without much of a trace I'd ever been there. I mean, how could you not fall in love with an Irish, man cooking you food and doing his utmost to please you?
And then doing your dishes? I mean,
But then you'd have to pay him.
I know. That's the only part I couldn't do, because I wouldn't have the money.
Take the money?
No, I wouldn't have the money to pay him.
Any last resounding thoughts?
It kind of makes you feel that when you fall for someone, if the circumstances are such that it's, not going to hurt anyone, you should share it, even if they don't share. those feelings, or even if you suspect they don't share those feelings, I think you should always tell somebody that you like them or that you love them. It puts you in a vulnerable position, but it also, like, even if they don't respond, it could, like, mean a lot to them.
Firm agree.
Firm agree.
On that note, thank you, Emma, for being a guest on my channel.
You are so welcome.
Comment if you'd like to hear us talk about another either subreddit or thread again in the future. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let me know what you want me to see from this channel. Have a great evening.